What's up, Indiana? Welcome to a special Sunday edition of Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. March Madness is upon us. So is NFL free agency. The injury bug has hit the Pacers yet again. All that, so much more to discuss. Thanks for joining. Saddle up. Indy Sports Nation, let's go. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever it is you're coming from. Yours truly is on location yet again out here in the valley known as Phoenix, Arizona. So another on location show for you. This will be, I think, my last one for a bit. We should be back in the studio next Friday, back at the normal time, but touch on that at the end. Anyway, I hope it's been a great week. I hope it's been your week has been as good as mine. Scratch that. I hope yours has been better. Lots to talk about as always. A little bit of a lot of March Madness is March Madness is upon us, right? So lots to discuss there. Talk some Pacers. Talk a little IndyCar. Briefly touch on the race from last weekend. Get some Indy Ignite as we always do. Great win for them this past week. And maybe get a little debate going here on the March Madness, kind of who's in, who's out. So hopefully those of you who are tuning in live can chime in on the comments, if you will. And if you're watching the replay, of course, thank you as always. Feel free to hit me up on those socials, which we will go over here shortly. But before we get to all of it, let's get a word in from our great sponsors, Planet Jerky. The jerky, it's on a whole other planet. Seal the Deal Wax Seals Vital Apparel. Touch on raw nutrition as well. So let's get these bills paid, and we'll get into it on the other side. Thank you once again for tuning in here. Your boy Big Mike, Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Much appreciated. I know it's we're getting ready to tip off some games here, so if you're watching, put them on mute. Hang out with your boy for another 45 minutes or so. So anyway, appreciate you once again tuning in. Got to give a shout out to our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use promo code IESR for 10% off. So the best supplements out there. Go check them out. Also, if you'd be so kind on the X platform or Twitter, whatever you're referring it to, follow us on the show page at IndySports_IESR. You can also follow my personal page at The Chill Mike. Again, that is on the X platform. And if you'd be so kind, if you're able, check me out on be a supporter if you're able. It's probably the best way to put it. You see it on the ticker here, Supporters Club. Like I said, if it's something you're able to donate to, it's just keeps us going, if you will. So it's $5 a month. There'll probably be a little bit of a reward coming your way if you're able to do that. So Spreaker.com/podcast/Indy-Sports-Nation. Be so kind just to click on that, check it out. And like I said, if you're able to chip in a few bucks, much appreciated. So, with all that out of the way, let's dive into a little bit of sports, shall we? Thought I would start with the quick recap of the IndyCar race from last weekend. It looks like there for a good chunk of the race is going to be the Scott McLaughlin Invitational. He looked pretty good, but as you know, in races like this, you get into pit strategies and tire strategies and what have you, and lo and behold, there he is, Alex Palou yet again. If you recall, if you were able to catch this show a couple weeks ago, I had my buddy Rick on, and we were discussing previewing a little bit of IndyCar, and just kind of said how consistent Palou always is. That's why he's won 3 championships already, and he looks like he's about all 17 years old. It was just, another good drive by him, and always puts himself in position to win. Newgarden also had a great car. Although he kind of tailed off there at the end to Dixon, but I think to me, Dixon was the story here. Old man Scott still doing his thing at 44 years old, still racing with the best of them. And oh yeah, by the way, for those of you who did not see or check that out, he was doing that without a radio, so he had no communication with his pit crew at all, his spotter, any of it. He's just doing his thing like, oh, okay, I'm gonna read this. Okay, I guess maybe it's time to pit. Okay, I'll go ahead and just do it all myself. So he was doing everything. He was driving the car. He was basically calling his shots for the good chunk, if not the entire race. It just goes to show you how great of a driver he is, and has always been. And you could say he's past his prime at this point, and that's fair. That's fair assessment. But here he is, still doing what he does. And I've said it for a long time, and you go back to his prime, if you will. I would have a hard time, and again, back in his prime, finding me a better driver is just in the world, period. I've always felt that I could take however cars, all cars are saying, give me your top 10 drivers. I'll take Scott Dixon. And I'll take him about every time. I mean, that's just what he does. So great performance by him, and yet again, here it is. It's Ganassi Penske, taking the podium, which again, not too much of a surprise. I mean, we saw some glimpses there from Meyer Shank. They had some nice. They were in a position there. I want to say about halfway through the race where it looked like they might do some damage. Unfortunately, things didn't quite work out their way, but that's how racing goes. Sometimes you just kind of have a little bit of luck there, with again pit strategy, tires, what have you. So, early in the season, obviously we still got that's race 1. They're back at it here in a couple of weeks. It's on the 23rd, I believe, out in California, the Thermal Club. I believe that's a 3 p.m. Green flag, or 3:30 maybe, out in California. So should be another exciting race, no doubt about it. I forgot to mention too, if you're checking in live, feel free to comment on the old YouTube, if you will. My boy Brian checking in. Appreciate you tuning in, my friend. Again, comment. Let's keep them clean, PG, sports related. You know the drill. Been doing this for a hot minute now, right? So let's move on here. We got to give some love to the Indy Ignite. It's been I wouldn't say a tough start at all. No, it's not been at all. They've just had some struggles on the road. They won on the road, I believe it was, up until this past week. They go to Vegas, where they had lost earlier in the year, and defeat Vegas in 4 sets, and now have sole possession of 3rd place in the league. So a good win for the ladies. 25-15, 19-25. 25-16, 25-19. That 3rd set seemed to be the one that kind of just, I don't want to say sealed the deal, obviously, but that was, you kind of knew, it felt after that this thing was done. They were going to take the 4th, and they did. But they had, as I mentioned, they had lost 5 straight on the road. They've had their struggles. So big win for them to get sole possession of 3rd place. They're back at it today in Atlanta. which they've split so far. That's been a 1-1 split so far. But we'll have to give some love to Lydia Martin. In that third set, an 83.3% kill efficiency. I think just gave that team that extra little boost of energy that they needed at that point to go and finish that set and obviously take the fourth and get the W. Few stats here. Member Mena, again, 13 kills, 1 block, 1 ace. Teeler with 14 kills. And De Beer, who's, again, she just came back after that really, tough foot injury she'd been dealing with, chiming in with 8 kills on her own, 1 block and 1 ace. So it feels like, with this team getting healthy, I'm not going to say they can make a run to win the thing, but this is a talented team. So I'm going to challenge my folks in the greater Indianapolis area. If you have not gone to one of these games, you need to go see them. This is a really, really fun team. Really, really fun team. So check them out. Again, they're in action. I believe it is 3 o'clock today, and you can check that out on YouTube. I believe that is. So once again, our third place Indy Ignite. Great win the other night. So let's move on from them before we jump into our first break here. Let's jump around here just a little bit, get a little hoops in here before we take our first break. It's been a tough season for Butler. They've legit, it's been Pierre Brooks and Jamil Telfort, and that's been just about it. I mean, Biz Jack has chimed in on a game or two. McCaffrey, again, a game or two here, but it's very similar to Purdue in some ways, just not as talented. Purdue fans know this. It's really hard to win when you got 2 guys who are, the defenses will just shut those guys down. If not shut them down, just limit them, and they're going to make everyone else step up and beat you. And that's just been Butler's thing. So pretty much, this season's all but done. They do play Providence, first round of the Big East tournament come Wednesday. They may get that, and I think they probably should get that. I'm not sure they're going to get much past. So I think for a lot of Butler fans, it's this will be one. It's like, all right, give me another win, and then that's going to be our season. And I think for some, it's kind of one of those years. It's like, yeah, I'm kind of glad it's over. But as we've talked about on this show, they've got. I do think that amount probably stays. I know there's locally people think they might be blowing this thing up and letting him go. I just don't know that's the way to go with them right now. Especially with how this works. And we've had guests on here and discussions about, NIL and transfer portal and things of that nature. And I don't know it's a good idea with a supposed very good recruiting class coming in that you let the coach go, because then we all know how that goes. Oh, I'm entering the portal. I'm doing this. I'm decommitting. So to me, he probably gets another year, and we'll see what the class does. And you go from there. And if it doesn't pan out, then, then maybe, he moves on. But that'll be a interesting story to follow, and we'll keep you updated on that as the soon to be off season for Butler is upon us. So with that said, let's go ahead. We'll get our first drops in here real quick. Got a couple big topics I want to hit on the other side, so I don't want to get too far without getting these drops in. So quick break here. We'll get these drops in and get into some Colts and Pacers talk on the other side. So thanks for taking the time again right here on IE Sports Radio, Indy Sports Nation. We'll be right back.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Aaron Yell, and if you are looking for sports takes that live a mile above the rest, look no further than Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Want to talk about NBA MVPs and champions? Yeah, that's us. Perhaps a baseball team that no matter how they play, you just can't quit them? Yep, we've got that too. What about Stanley Cups, NHL award winners in the burgundy and blue? Got it. How about buffaloes that run, pass, shoot, dunk? You bet. For all things Colorado sports, look no further than right here every Sunday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, and 7 Pacific. So if that light is red and the kids are in bed, you are listening to Mile High Music, where we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos. Stay good, sports fans.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for the comments, much appreciated. Again, you can follow me on the old X platform at the Chill Mic or at our show page rather. I'll show that one more time at Indy Sports _IESR. Appreciate that and appreciate you hanging with your boy here as I'm fighting through a little bit of a sinusy cold thing, whatever. Well, you know what? I figured since it is upon us, we got the NFL free agency and coming up, and or upon us, I should say. And what a job the NFL does. They've got something every month in the offseason, done on purpose, as we all know. So we keep talking about them, right? So it's actually kind of genius. Obviously, we've all seen the signings already. One broke today with Myles Garrett getting like umpteen bazillion dollars to stay in Cleveland. Same with Max Crosby out in Vegas, rather. So both getting paid a lot of money to probably get about 5 wins for the rest of their careers. 5 wins per season, I should say. You get the idea. But hey, good for them. They're going to be making some coin, and probably, probably deserved. I mean, great players, no doubt about it. But speaking of that, something I'm not sure the Colts have very many of, great players. So get a little update on Chris Ballard here. This is things are coming out that he's going to be doing some big things in free agency. Yeah. We all know that's not happening. we absolutely know that's not happening. Their biggest move, so defensive tackle Raekwon Davis has been released by the Colts. That came about this past week. That's probably about all you're going to see from our Colts. We all know what's happening. Well, I mean, here's the thing. He's got to kind of prove us wrong here a little bit, I think, coming in. We talked about this the past couple shows. He is kind of on the hot seat, I think. We think. I mean, he should already. There shouldn't be a hot seat. He shouldn't even be here. He's not here or there. But Brian checking back in. Maybe a Pats fan, but luck screwed you guys over to this day. I have teased of doing a show solely on that, and I'm kind of back and forth. I've got some thoughts on it. It's still so controversial. It's just wild to me how the Colts fan base like coddles him like he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And look, I'm a fan. I was a fan of his. I still am to this day. I listen when. I guess I'll touch on it here real quick since we're talking Colts. I see why he did it. I see why he left. And part of me, I don't blame him. The timing was just terrible. It just was. And, the Colts still paid him his money, and I think in hopes that he would change his mind after a year, maybe come back. That wasn't going to happen. We know more now in hindsight than we did then, obviously. But, I mean, yeah, when you're franchise quarterback, 2 weeks before season starts, basically says I'm done. Yeah, I mean that hurts. And there's people in the Indy market, for example, that just still love him and basically worship him. I was never quite that. Never was quite that big of a fan, but that's okay. I mean, I was a fan. Obviously, I still remain a fan of his. I just, it was terrible, and it's the franchise has never been the same since, and that can't be denied. It just can't. So that brings us back to now, right? Here we are with, the Ballard strategy, which has worked terribly, and now you're in a spot where, the cap's gone up significantly. You're going to have to, pay some guys. So we'll see what they do. And the other thing too is you got to sell these guys, right? You got to sell these players on why they want to come to Indy. Why do you want to be here? Why should you be here rather? So I think something we got to keep that in perspective as well. I mean, there's talks from last year. A couple people just like, I don't know if I want to come to Indy. Guys who want to win. If you're in your destination right now, I mean, you got to think about it. Is Anthony Richardson going to be the guy? There's a lot of question marks there. If you think he is, then okay, sure. But we also know that if this thing fails, that means they're back to square one, back to the drawing board for a quarterback. You're going to get a new GM. And probably the new GM means you're going to get a new coach. So there's a lot going on this season. So I mean, I'm really interested to see what this team does. When it comes to free agency, we know that Ballard has done some decent things in the draft. He's also missed in the draft. Let's just be honest about that. That's what the national narrative will come out and tell you. Oh, Chris Ballard's such a great eye for talent. He gets guys in the third, fourth, fifth round that end up doing pretty well. So, but I think this team's gonna be a lot different. There's big rumors out there that Deo's going to get big money on the open market. We'll see. There's rumors of above 16 million. Okay, I mean, there's no way I'd pay him that to stay. No way. But it could be a situation where the Colts have to do something like that. Maybe not necessarily for him, but kind of getting your hand forced a little bit. They kind of had that situation with Quentin Nelson. For those of us who may have forgotten, he got that fat contract because it was a big open market for him. Had he decided to test free agency, and he wouldn't have been back, he would have gotten 20 million plus that year elsewhere. So But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we're going to see some more big contracts signed. I mean, like I said, good for Crosby, good for Garrett. So that's awesome for them. So we'll keep you updated. We'll see what happens this week, in the weeks to follow. So, but moving on from that, let's get into a little bit of hoop. Talk some Pacers, and it appears a little bit of an injury bug has crept back in. Tyrese Halliburton has missed the past 2 games, and with that, you have 2 losses to the Hawks. Not ideal, although Benedict Mathurin did come back and last night and dropped 30, so he's back off of injury. Tyrese is dealing with a hip flexor strain. It kind of seems like a day-to-day type of thing. Your Pacers have the Bulls coming up tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there. My guess is if he's still even the slightest bit sore or whatnot, he'll probably sit. As they've got Milwaukee coming on Tuesday, and that's a much bigger game. Right now the Pacers currently set 5th in the East, 1 game behind the Bucks. So I've been talking about this one for a hot minute. This is where it starts to count, right? This has been what I thought, I don't want to say easy stretch for them, but the Pacers had some winnable games there. They did defeat Houston, which I thought was a great win earlier in the week, or last week, I should say. But, the 2 to the Hawks, I really was hoping for a split, and, could have had it last night. But again, you dig yourself a hole, and I know being down 20 in the NBA is not a lot these days. I mean, you see it all the time. You get down 20, and next thing you know, it's teams within 4. It happens quite often. It's not what it used to be, where a 20-point lead was pretty much the game, or most of the time it was anyway. So, but you dig yourself a hole. McConnell, rolls an ankle again. He ends up sitting. So you got your light at the guard position, which is not good when you got Trae Young on the other side. So, not that Pacers are known for defense, but you know what I mean. Siakam making really weird decisions, but you know what? Especially with the down, I'm not even going to get into that. Because here's the thing for me: Pascal gets a little bit of a pass, because he's been solid pretty much all season. I mean, heck, he was an all-star for crying out loud, and he was really that rock, especially early in the season when the Pacers were half the team was out with injury. So, and they with the struggles of losing to bad teams and hanging around that 8th spot in the East until people got healthy, and and he's still done his thing. So yeah, he made a silly error. I guarantee you can go find everybody in the league who's done that at some point, or something as, or maybe similar, or as silly, or whatever you want to throw in there. But right now we're coming up in almost the middle of March here, so these games coming up with Milwaukee are going to be huge. And I think, look, we'll see. Those games are chippy, and rightfully so. Obviously, they had a heck of a playoff series, last year, and Pacers kind of, ran them out of the arena. So I don't know. So we got, in fact, just to clarify, we got 2 games with the Bucks coming up. So we got the Bulls in Chicago tomorrow, and then of course on Tuesday at home against Milwaukee, and then the 76ers come in, and then you go back to Milwaukee. So 2 games this week with the Bucks. So, and then wrapping up next Monday with in Minnesota. So actually a pretty tough stretch coming up for the Pacers. So like I said, go back to the original point. I tend to think that if Tyrese is even a little bit sore, they're going to roll the dice and probably sit him tomorrow in Chicago, and hopefully get him back from Milwaukee. So on that note, let's go ahead and get our last drop in here, because I want to take the last chunk of the show to talk some March Madness and college hoops. There's going to be a lot of bubble watching here in the state of Indiana, I think. So we're really interested to see how this all shakes out. So let's get our last drop in here. Come back, talk some March Madness. Once again, thank you so much for making the time to hang out with me today. Your boy Big Mike right here on Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So be right back.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans, I've got the show for you. I'm Jen B, host of the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You want football? I've got the Browns, the Buckeyes, the Eagles, the Purple Raiders, and more for you. You want basketball? I've got the Cavs and the Charge for you. You want hockey? I've got the Blue Jackets and the Monsters for you. You want football, aka soccer? I've got the Crew and the Crunch for you. You want volleyball? I'm going to unleash the fury for you. You want more Cleveland and Columbus sports? I've got them all for you, from the majors to the minors to the college rinks. Catch me, Jen B, every week on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
What's going on, Kansas City sports fans? I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for the show. This is KC Sports, which you can find right here every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, are you looking for a show that you can watch live or listen to later on that talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as even the Kansas City Mavericks? Or do you want to listen to a show that talks about your high school sports, whether it be on the Missouri side or the Kansas City side? Let's even talk about college. Let's talk about KU. Let's talk about K-State. Let's talk about Mizzou. And let's talk about your boys' alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. All in all, it doesn't matter. If it's Kansas City anything, we will talk about it on this show every Monday at 2 p.m. We'll talk about stuff that's happening in your area, let alone Union Station, Power and Light, T-Mobile Center. It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about it, join our segment, the Fan Interaction segment, every Monday at 2 p.m. and make sure you get your voice heard. Until then, I hope you check out the show. As always, I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host every Monday at 2 p.m. on This is KC Sports, which you can find right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back. Thank you once again for taking the time to join me today, whether it is live or on the replay. Thank you so very much. All right, I think rest of the way here, we're going to just talk some college hoops because it is that time of year. March Madness is upon us. One of my favorite times of year, even though as much as we all love our football and what have you. I do love me some March Madness. So let's get a little bit of Irish talk here. Hannah Hidalgo was named the ACC Conference Player of the Year this past week. Yeah, that's all I got for you on that one. At that, there was really no other option in my biased opinion. Fair enough. But she's been her all season. Now I know. They just fell to Duke, and they've had a few losses here at the back half of the season, or I should say the last few weeks rather. And I know some are getting worried about them. I'm really not there yet. I mean, look, you see this a lot with good teams, and kind of towards the end of the year, they kind of, I don't want to say they're coasting in this case, but you see those great teams and who've been really good all season. I mean, mind you, Notre Dame did have a 19-game winning streak. So, did make it to number one and got the curse of being number one. And have lost a couple. But then, we all know how these things go in conference tournament play. we see it all the time. You see the upsets and what have you. So, and I don't really call this one an upset, losing to Duke. I mean, Duke, that's a good team. And this game really was a flip of the game they played in South Bend. Tight first half, and then that third quarter was a game changer. Back in the game in South Bend, Notre Dame had a great, I think it was like a 21-9 type run or something like that. I'm probably off a few digits there, but you get the idea. This time Duke flipped that, and I believe it was an 18-10 or 18-11 run in the third, and that was the difference. And not to mention Notre Dame couldn't buy a basket, and some of that too. I give Duke credit. They're a scrappy defensive team. They're quick to the ball. They bust through screens, and I was actually thoroughly impressed with their defense when I saw them play last. And so again, I got to give them some credit. But Hidalgo was not great from the field, and quite frankly, didn't have a whole lot of help. Miles only had 10. Citron, I think, had like 9 or 10 somewhere. Double check that, but you get the idea. It was one of those games, and again, I think no one else was able to really step up, and again, I give credit to Duke's defense in that regard. I was just a little surprised. I think the fact that I felt Notre Dame didn't quite seem ready for that, and it was just kind of head scratcher to me, just because you just saw them a few weeks ago, and you kind of knew what was coming. But credit to Duke. But look, I'm not really worried about the women. They're going to probably be a 2 seed once the brackets come out. Should get a pretty good draw, pretty good location, obviously, being a 2 seed. I still think this is a Final Four type of team. We'll see how we see how the brackets work out, right? And you always see the upsets and yada yada. But I still think this team, we should see this team in the Final Four. And to me, if not, that's going to be kind of a disappointment. That's not to say I'm putting pressure on them, but to me, I think they're that good. And the losses that they've had recently are to ranked squad. So I mean, Duke being a top 15 squad, NC State top 15 squad, even Florida State, which was a kind of tough loss, still top 25. So these aren't really. I mean, all of those, the Florida State one was kind of the yikes. But I mean, losing on neutral site to Duke, and then at NC State in double overtime. So those are losses you kind of learn from. So again, keep an eye on this. We'll see where they get. We'll see where they get seated. But moving on from the Irish, I think this will maybe be the hot topic, if you will. As IU, or I should say are, because we're talking both the men and the women, are they in the tournament? I'm gonna start with the women first, because their tournament just ended, losing to USC, which that was actually kudos to IU. I thought that was they played pretty well. I mean, USC's been it's top 10 all season. I think most time they're in the top 5. So Juju Watkins is one hell of a talent, and I thought even though she got her points, IU kept that game close, and that's a game they were in, and it had a shot to win. So are they in? I'm not so sure. I mean, they're on the bubble right now for a lot of brackets. Right now, I'm going to say probably not. But if they're in, I mean, I hope they're in. I just feel like, for me, I mean, they had the great win, beating Ohio State. That was a great win for the women. I don't know they've had many more what I would say great wins. They've had a few good ones. They've had some bad losses though. So I'm not sure. I think it's going to kind of depend on how these. We're pretty much the conference tournaments of championships already for the women. So I'm just 19 wins total for them on the season. I just don't know. I'm gonna go no right now. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be happy to be wrong on that one. But let's go to the men. Excuse me, and I appreciate you hanging in there with me on my little cold type thing going, or whatever the heck it is. The little bit of grossness that's going around everywhere, it feels like. But the men finished the season with a win at home against Ohio State. After going on the West Coast swing and getting that win at Washington, like I had mentioned show prior that they needed to do, and I thought they would, and that wasn't really a worry for me. The Oregon game I thought was going to be a tough one for IU, and it was. Now, in typical IU fashion, and I shouldn't say IU fashion, that's not fair. I'll back up on that. In typical IU fan fashion, blame the officials because that's what we're good at. And look, I mean, calls happen. Were there some calls that went against IU? Obviously, yes. But look, that happens every game. Let's just be honest here. Oregon is just stingy defensively, and you just and IU just has struggled pretty much all season, shooting from outside. Even in the Oregon game, they were 36% from three, which actually is an improvement. But I had to credit IU's defense too. They held Oregon at 24% from three. And they shot better overall in the field, but IU only shot 40% from the field. So going 26-65 isn't going to win you a lot of games. I don't care what the officials say. Because you look at the shots, I mean, you had, looking right now, Oregon had 61 attempts. So IU actually had more attempts. They were equal in attempts from three. And you still lost. Now, again, I understand, Woodson was frustrated with officiating. Goody was frustrated with the officiating. Understood. Yeah, I get it. But, I mean, you got to take advantage of having more possessions. And unfortunately, I was not able to do that. But come home and get to win against Ohio State, which they had to have, in my opinion, because I think if they came home and lost to Ohio State, I think they're out of the tournament at that point, barring a major run in the Big Ten conference tournament. So now they're back on the bubble at 19-12, identical to the women. I think personally, we'll see how the standings shake out today. We have the last, there's like 5 or 6 Big Ten games today. We'll see how it shakes out. I believe right now they're like 9th, I think, in the league. Purdue being 6th, which we'll get to Purdue here in a sec. To me, I think they got to win it. They got to win a couple games, in my opinion. I don't think if you're IU, I really don't think you're in a spot where you can take an L in round one. Because again, you look at their quote unquote quad one wins, right? IU doesn't have the quality of their wins are not great. They're just not. I mean, yeah, they beat Purdue once. Okay, so they split the series this year, which I don't think surprises anybody. You beat Michigan State, which I think was their most impressive win of the season. And I know I'll get hate for that. Oh, beat Purdue, but dramatically beat. Stop it. But really, other than that, I mean, people say, well, they beat Penn State, they beat Ohio. Okay, yeah, I know, I get it. Technically, by definition, they're quad one, blah, blah, blah. But let's be real. Penn State's not what I would say a great team. Ohio State's not a great team. I mean, hell, Ohio State was 17-14. So, yes, they're beating teams like that. And then we all know their non-conference schedule was cupcake. So, and then within the conference, they've had some horrible losses. And I think, unfortunately, in my view, I think those bad losses could cancel out, one of those good wins. And now you look at how Purdue has kind of wrapped up the season. That Purdue win, you could argue, wasn't as good as you might initially hoped it would have been or be. So I'll say this: I think IU needs. I think they need to win. Definitely need to win round one of the conference tournament. I think they get a second win. I think they'll be in. But I think they got, in my eyes, I think I need two. I think some will argue that with me, and that's fine. That's fine. They may be in now. I mean, but pretty much everything I'm looking at, you look at Lenardi from ESPN, who's been pretty spot on with these things for many years now. He's got IU on the bubble. So I think if you're on the bubble now and you go into round one of the conference tournament and you lose, not good. So I don't know. I'd like to see him get a few wins. I think we'll see how the brackets shape up here. It looks favorable, I think, at least to get one. I think the second round will be interesting. I think if they win a second game, I think they'll be in. So, which will be good because, obviously we want to see both, Purdue and Indiana in it. Makes it a lot more fun, a lot more exciting, more eyes on the product, right? So last one before we call it a show, talk a little Purdue here. It kind of felt, good hard-fought win at home against UCLA, and kind of back and forth. He kind of was a little nervous and pulled away there at the end to get a nice W, and then Rutgers came in and they smoked Rutgers out of the building. So it kind of felt like, okay, you know what, that 4-game losing streak they had, which by the way was the longest losing streak they've had in almost 25 years. Think about that for a minute. You talk about a successful program. But then turn around Friday night and do it again, lay another egg, if you will, in the second half, get a lead and lose it. Feels like, that same old song and dance, right? It feels like that's happened several times. It happened at IU, got a 12-point lead going into half, and then gave up a 21-1 run, which sealed it. So unfortunately, that's been an Achilles heel for them this year, just getting out to a nice lead and then not being able to maintain it in second half and poor second half performance. And here it was again. They're defensively, you give up almost 50 points in the second half. Not good. And it's again getting a little bit of stats here. And this was a little bit disappointing because at least Lawyer kind of showed up. Yeah, 14 points. Okay, not bad. But again, it's Braden. It's the same old song and dance. It's been Braden Smith and Kaufman Wren, and they get nothing off their bench. That's where, at least from an IU standpoint, IU's getting more consistency, off the bench, whether it's Renew coming off or Ballo coming off or even Galloway, and just depending how the lineup is. But you get 29 from Kaufman Wren, you get 18 from Braden, and then you go back to their bench, and here we go again. Let's see, 12 points total. So, and what's really a bummer, because had Purdue held on to this and won this game with tiebreakers, that would have put them fourth in the Big Ten, and that would have given them the double bye. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case now. And again, we'll see who they end up matching up with. They should have a fairly favorable first game, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not sure they're getting past that. And come tournament, their seeding just took a big hit. We were talking before that 4-game streak, we're talking a 3 seed potentially for Purdue. And now you're probably looking, maybe more like a 6. Maybe we'll see how it shakes out, right? Come Big Ten tournament time. They can make a deep run in the tournament, sure. It's not like you look at the Big Ten tournament, it's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun and competitive. I can't wait to chat about it. We should have working on a guest to join us here on Friday to dive more into it, covering the Big Ten tournament as it is in the great city of Indianapolis. But it's really, anybody can be anybody. There's really no team in my eyes that stands out above another. Heck, the way Indiana had been playing, and again, if they can only shoot the ball consistently, who's to say they couldn't make a run? Purdue could make a run, but right now, it's like I said, come tournament time, you got to have more from your bench, and it's a young bench. I know, we've been at it time and time again. But we can't have Heidi coming in 17 minutes and getting 2 points. Colvin comes in 14 minutes, 2 points. I don't need him scoring. I don't need him scoring 20, obviously. But how about how about chipping 6 to 8? Each. So at least you get some production because, it's all on Braden and Kaufman-Wren. And, they need a breather. I mean, give these guys a break. So I'm afraid that, you've seen in some of these games too where they just look tired. And, you kind of wonder why. But again, as I've said to a lot of Purdue fans and the Purdue faithful, I don't, with the injuries that happened early in the year and, a couple guys that are coming in for next year, I think next year is kind of the year. And I always kind of felt a Sweet 16 appearance would be ideal and would be like a great year for this Purdue team. But yikes, I'm not sure. Well, we'll just have to see how the brackets work out. They may be able to pull that off or they may not. We'll see. But I do like I do think IU has a chance, and I know bounce between the two schools here, but it's rivalry. What are you gonna do? But I do like what they're doing. If they can just get some consistency from the outside, and that's what I have to probably be good at the end of the day. But so with that, like I said, we'll dive more into that back when back in the studio on Friday, and should have a guest for us to talk nothing but Big Ten conference tournament and how our Indiana teams fared or faring, I guess, at that point. And maybe do a little seeding projection. We'll see how that shakes out. But with that said, just want to make that note one more time that we are back in studio, back into the normal time slot, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I just wanted to give a big thank you and a big shout out to the IE Sports Radio family. Thanks for working with me this past few weeks. My full-time job has had me everywhere across the country. So I've been, moving the show dates a little bit here and there, and just to be able to accommodate and come on and do this thing once a week, chat with all y'all, which I love to do. So can't thank them enough for all of their support and just patience, I guess, for lack of a better word. So with that said, we're going to wrap this thing up. Be back, like I said, next Friday, back in studio, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Appreciate the comments. Had some other comments on here too, but little, again, like I said, people, we got to keep them PG, man. So can't put them on there if they're not PG. So, but anyway, have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. Your boy is going to enjoy his last day out here in the Valley, otherwise known as beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Don't get to talk a lot of baseball since we don't have not a major league presence in this great state of Indiana, but I will be checking out some Cubs spring training today. And with that baseball note, shout out to Purdue, who's off to a 14-1 start with their team. Well done there. We'll see if they can continue that momentum. But I will be back, like I said, back to studio next Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you once again for joining, whether it's live or on the replay. Appreciate you so very much. And we will see you back here on Friday. Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week, everybody.